Hey everyone, sorry about that. Just setting everything up. Solo today. Robert couldn't make it. He's feeling under the weather. Hopefully he'll feel better next week. But in the meantime, we decided we would go ahead with the podcast. We've managed to do one every week for quite a while, and we don't want to stop now. As everyone knows, right now we're both me and Robert are in Nova Scotia, and presently there's a fire ban across the province, partly due to the whole COVID-19 stuff and emergency crews' limited ability to respond, and the potential. Might have a problem here. Let's try something here. Yeah, the potential concerns due to a fire or really even someone getting lost. Any response now is going to take longer to react. As such, like I said, fire bans are on. Now, I can't say camping is completely fine at this time because we are being restricted a lot more. They are finding people who are driving even to go for a walk and other things. But if you have access to enough property or the ability to get out and go camping, you still are going to be restricted to camping without really open fire. I'm sure, as many of you guys know, camping without fire is not good or exciting. And it can be very scary for some people. The reality is fire offers many things. It offers the ability to cook your food. It offers the ability to have that warmth, and it gives an emotional comfort. And I think that's one of the biggest things for a fire, for any of us. When we have fire, we feel more comfortable. We feel more safe. That warmth means a lot to you. So without that, you are limiting your experience. Now, it's still good to get out and camp without fire, but you are going to want to learn how to deal with that experience. So one of the things I've got here that some of you may have seen is these little candle lanterns. I usually take one of these, says UCO lantern. There may even be some knockoff brands of these. You light one of these up, they last 8 to 12 hours. And when I'm camping, oftentimes I'll light one of these up and place it near my hammock or my tent. I've had them in my tent. I've never really tried to pin under the tarp for a hammock, but I do keep them like at the end. And it might sound silly. It's almost like a bit of a nightlight in the woods. If you get up to go for a pee or whatever, it helps you find your site. It just gives you that little bit of comfort. So I enjoy it. It doesn't weigh a lot. It works well. Packs up, and I have the little neoprene sack for it. I can drop that down into my pack. So it's just something to think about. Something like that. Doesn't cost a lot. I think they do go on sale on Amazon and stuff fairly frequently. And a lot of people use them. I really do enjoy it. It's not a big bright light, but it's enough light to sort of help you out to find your spot or whatever. And adds a little bit of comfort if that's what you want. Because I don't care who you are. If you're out there by yourself and you start hearing things moving around in the woods and stuff, it's going to make you think, at least. And it doesn't take long. Thoughts by yourself get going. That it can affect your enjoyment out there. Some people doesn't bother them as much as others, but everyone, people I know have camped for years. Still, when they hear a crack or a weird noise at night, they do get a little frightened, a little bit nervous. Not to the point necessarily of wanting to leave, but just, you don't know what it is. having a little bit of light does take the edge out of that. So it's one of the things I kind of recommend. The other thing is cooking. I mean, most of us, I think, eat 3 meals a day. Some people probably a few more, some of us a few less, but it's pretty well a general trend, I think. So when you're thinking about that, you have some options here. The first one I'm going to go to the little canister stoves. This one's pretty well empty. Little canister stove. This is a little lightweight titanium stove I got put on top of it. You can, this is a little cup. You can heat that up easily enough. Or a slightly larger pot. Do your little dehydrated meals. Boil up a little water. Easy to do like noodles or porridge, oatmeal, stuff like that. Dried soups, real easy to do. And all this stuff is stuff that you can pick up. I mean, you can pick up good little dried soups and stuff at the dollar store. And that makes a decent little meal. It's easy. It doesn't weigh much. Easy to, boil up a cup of water, pour it in, boom. There's a quick little meal. So this is one method of heating it up. If you don't own one of these, if you don't like carrying around these more or less throwaway containers of fuel, there are a few other options. We've talked about the little alcohol penny stoves, using like rubbing alcohol or some other fuels, methyl ethyl hydrate we talked about, I think. Other products that might work, fondue fuels. I think the yellow bottles of heat, like gas line antifreeze, are often used in these. There's a bunch of things. Me and Robert have a line on some of the alcohol from like a marine store. We're going to test in one of these shortly. Once everything calms down and we can get into the store to pick it up. There's some options there. So that type of thing. The other one I was going to talk a bit about, and this won't take a long time. Here. The wood gas stoves. I love this. This one here folds down into the bottom section. The whole thing kind of folds up into itself. Doesn't take up a ton of room. And it comes with this tiny little dish to catch the hot ash stuff that comes out of the bottom of it. Honestly, I'm not sure that under the whole thought of a fire ban, this is offering a ton of advantage. So what I might suggest actually is step it up, get yourself could be even an aluminum one, but a pie plate or a small dish, put it inside there, sort of really, protect the ground underneath. Some of these methods you might want to use like a windbreak. This one here fits around this here stove with enough room that air can get in, traps that heat, and allows it to go up. This works really good with, say, the little alcohol stove I had there. You drop something like that in there. Enough room around it that it's not going to try to show this. So a lot of room around. So if you had your pot in there, it would heat up. Once you put a wall around those alcohol stoves, do remember though that it will build heat inside there quicker, which is great. It heats up your pot quicker, but it also heats up the fuel inside the alcohol stove, so that's going to push that out. So you actually get probably bigger flame, and it's not going to last as long. But hopefully it'll boil your pot quicker. It would. I don't know if it's more efficient or if you lose some of the heat, but you're going to prevent wind from blowing it out, and it's going to kind of keep it safer. Something good for people to play with. So those are some quick ideas there, sort of along the same view. If you don't want to buy one of those, I made this particular one out of a couple of, I think it's a bean can and a pea can, just like a can of green peas, tinier one. And try not to cut myself here. So cut the bottom out, and you can see all the little tabs, so it kind of holds the friction in. Here's the inner one, set of holes around the top, set of holes around the bottom. Cut the very bottom of that out, and I put a screen in there. So it just goes down inside, locks in there. Then I took a piece of expanded metal, steel, here for feeding fuel. And this actually works quite good. A little tiny bit of small twigs, small bits of brush and stuff, and you really get some ability to feed your fire pretty good. So those are some ideas of just how you might cook up a meal. So we've covered a little bit about how you can heat up a meal, and we've covered a little bit of with the light of how you can get sort of that emotional comfort. And the last thing that you need is heat. Now, these stoves do provide an amount of heat, and if you heat up like a nice coffee or hot chocolate or good tea, then you're definitely going to get yourself some heat. But knowing you're going out without, an open fire, which is a big part of this whole thing. Yeah, some of you guys are talking about stoves you guys like too. I'd like to try one of those multi-fuel stoves. The other thing is heat, like I said. So this is where I think we really want to take some time and thought and make sure the gear we take is going to give us that extra little bit of heat. Temperatures are getting up there now. Like yesterday was beautiful here. It was in the high teens. I went out for a walk with my jacket on. It was too much. I've seen people walking around in t-shirts and shorts. It was a beautiful day in this area. So thinking about that, you do get some really warm days. But then today was wet and it was cool. I went for a walk and my fingers got cold just in the walk. So it's a big deal to make sure you're really planning for your temperatures. So bring a sleeping bag that's maybe a little bit warmer than you expect. Make sure you take warmer clothes than you expect. Take layered clothing so that you can shed it when you need it. But know that you're out there and this is a wet time of year. And without fire to potentially dry clothes, you definitely want to make sure that your clothes is relatively quick drying, warm, and potentially have a spare set that you have kept in a dry area. And that's one other thing we can talk about. When you're going in this time, make sure you have like a backpack that's either waterproof, which I have some of those, or what I use more is a couple of good dry bags to keep the stuff that's most essentially kept dry within the bag, so that if you're going through and you drop your pack in a puddle or you fall into a river or it rains and your stuff gets a bit wet, at least your survival gear, the stuff you need to keep yourself safe, is dry. Now, all that being said, there is a fire ban on the go. Regardless, if it's a life or death situation, I'm sure they're going to forgive you if you have a fire to save your life. In the meantime, to avoid getting in that situation, we don't, if you get out there and you do fall in a puddle and you are freezing and you know that it's getting dark and you're not going to make it out in time, and it's really cold, then yes, by all means, I mean, it's life first. So get yourself a fire going, be safe about it. But I'm not saying that they won't potentially at least try to charge you. I'm not saying that if the fire gets out of control that you're not taking risks. That it'd be better if we didn't have to. And that's why with this proper planning, with good gear, good options, you can minimize those risks. But risks also always will exist. Um, Yeah. So someone else mentioned the little lanterns, especially yes in a tent. I've noticed that myself. Lanterns, even a couple of candles in a tent can make a big difference. Takes the chill. It definitely can take the bite out of it. The fact that a tent keeps the wind off you. I know with my hammock setup, that is one of the things. Like once I'm in my hammock setup, I'm pretty good, but you can't really. You're either in the hammock or you're out. With tent, you can sort of be in there, but not like in bed type deal. With the hammock, you're in your bed, so you can sit there and sort of be more comfortable. You can set up the system. You can cook inside of a tent if you have to. Cooking inside of a hammock isn't exactly what you do. You cook outside of the hammock while you're in the hammock underneath a tarp. You lose a lot more heat. You don't have that 360-degree coverage. Usually your ends are open. You're more of a flying tarp design. So something else that's a difference that we deal with there. But yeah, that's a bit of the advantages, disadvantages of the two setups. I still prefer the hammock, but that's just my quick thoughts. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. It is something that I think is going to be a problem we're going to have to deal with. They just recently announced that the national parks around here will be shut down till the end of May, at least. If not, I don't know how many others out there, how many people who are listening have had their trips canceled. I really hope it's not as many as it seems, but it is a fair number for us. Now, for some reason on my laptop, the comments are coming through, but they are showing up on my phone. So I'm getting comments from Red Bear Tactical and Gary. Robert, my whole vacation was canceled. Yeah. It's turbulent time of year right now for all of us. We don't know what to expect. I don't even know how to plan for this year. Okay. Getting some feedback. Zippo hand warmer in the sleeping bag to help warm it up before I climb in. Yes, I do that with the chemical hand warmers, and I also have a red. It looks a lot like the Zippo in size and shape, but it has a carbon rod that you light one end of, and it slow burns. I've got a whole bunch of the sticks for it. That produces quite a bit of heat. Yeah, any method like that. Other methods, heating up a little hot water bottle or a drink bottle and throwing into your boiling water and putting it and tossing it into your sleeping bag will definitely warm up your sleeping bag and radiate heat for quite a while in that situation. Wrap it up with some of your clothes or a towel or something, and it'll keep the heat in it, and it'll radiate at a much slower rate. Where, I mean, the flip side of throwing a metal container full of boiling water is it could actually burn you. Burn white gas in a Zippo, so you always have fuel for it. True. Very, very true. So some options there for sure, though. Just trying to think, is there anything else we really want to talk about tonight? I don't expect this to go long. We're in about 20 minutes now. I've covered the areas I want to talk about, really. The other thing, I guess, is food. It does really change without an open fire. It does change the food that I would personally take. I can take, and I have taken like a little frying pan and fry some stuff up. But when you got a fire, your cooking options are a lot better because you can cook things straight over the open fire. You can pull up hot coals. You can roast things. With these stoves, it's different. Not better, not worse. There's definitely advantages and disadvantages to both, of course. But with these, it's not what I would choose if I had both options. I do like these for their quick convenience, easy to use, and I know what I'm going to get with one of these. The fire is a little bit more iffy, but it's so much more enjoyable. It's a bit of a challenge. So not having a fire um, means you're going to have to pre-plan, but reality is you may actually be able to lighten your load because you know what you're cooking with and you know what your options are. So you're going to set everything more or less exactly what you need. Uh, that is a good part of the challenge because a lot of us, it is trying to get our loads down. It is trying to perfect the arts of what we take and how we do things. Um, we, of course, enjoy the fire. We enjoy the means. But when you can't, there's challenges. What makes you the better camper, in my opinion, or better bushcrafter, if you will, is to take those restrictions and see what you can do with them. Uh, I think all of us at some point decide to what what could I do if I didn't have and go camp without something. Like I've heard people go, so what if I didn't have a cutting tool? What could I do? And you know, reality is if you've pre-planned well enough, you can camp very well without a cutting tool. But then when you do have the cutting tool, you can do so much better because then you know, okay, I could do all this without it, but with it, I can now no longer maybe I need to take the tent pegs. I'll make my own because I have the knife or I have the axe. Or if I don't have fire, then I know I'm going to be relying on this stuff, or maybe some more cold foods, things like jerky or pepperonis, things that don't necessarily have to be heated up, cheeses, cured meats of different types, fruits and vegetables, dried fruits, nuts. I mean, there's a ton of food options we have that don't require being heated up. Um, and even some of the canned foods, some people are perfectly happy to eat a lot of canned foods that they take without heating up. It does change the effect. Hey, Jeremy's here. Yeah. So he's coming in just as about to say goodbye. I hope that some of you guys are getting out there. I'm definitely not getting out as much as I would like. I am trying to follow the social distancing to the best of my ability, and unfortunately for me, that has resulted in a lot less time out camping as I would like. It has meant that I'm getting a lot of things straightened up around the home. So in the next few weeks, you'll probably see a slightly different venue for where I set up. What's up, Jeremy? We're just talking a bit about camping without. I wonder if I'm lagging out there occasionally. Just talking about camping without an open fire, and some of the challenges. Someone else joining us. Yeah. So, like I said, some challenges, some thoughts. I mentioned the candle lantern here. I think it was Red Bear Tactical. David is his name. He mentioned a little isopropyl lantern. I've seen quite a few neat little lanterns, little packable lanterns that you could take. All of them would do a similar tasking. It gives you that light. It also allows you to enjoy the evening a bit better. Because let's be honest. Normally, for me, camping in the evening when the light goes out. Your penny stove. Yes, got mine here. I love the penny stove. I love the efficiency, the almost weightlessness of it, and the fact that you can literally make it with nothing, but a couple of cans that you can honestly pick up on the side of the road almost anywhere in Nova Scotia. So, just a side note with these, anyone that decides to make them, you this one here, I'll try to show you. You see there's not that many holes around the edge. So you, by controlling both the hole size and the hole quantity, you really control what kind of flame you get out of these. So you can make a dozen of these that will have a different result. No, I'm not used to just doing the stream by myself either. Robert is here. He has been making comments, but Robert isn't feeling the greatest. We're hoping it's nothing serious, but he is finding he's a bit tired, and I think not breathing 100%. We hope it's just a small infection and it'll pass quickly. But in the meantime, he wasn't up to doing the full show. And honestly, it was about my turn to do one by myself. Yes, Jeremy, I hope, I assume that you, like me, have played with these quite a bit. There's a lot you can do. The other thing you can do is you can make little simmering rings for these so that you can cover half or part of the holes. It really can have an effect. And the other one is, I don't have them here, just cut the bottom off a can and you can just drop it right over the top and you can snuff the thing right out. It does save a little bit of fuel, but honestly, I wouldn't move one of these because I don't put anything inside mine. They're just hollow. Some people put like a carbon felt or something that would sort of keep the fuel from dripping out. Do that and you sort of end up with a bit of a more leak proof or leak resistant version. Thanks, Robert. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, definitely some different methods. You made me a sniff around it. Yeah. That's right. I did. So, good little tools, great little things. Yeah, I got a couple of pots there that I have set up for this. But like I said, those are the three things that to me fire gives us is heat, comfort, and light. Light we can cover with our little lanterns. Heat we can get from the food and for cooking. Like a good cup of tea or a hot chocolate will do you a world of good, especially before you go to bed, and help keep you warm through the night. And a good meal before you go to bed is the other trick. When your body is working to digest food, it actually produces a bit more heat, and that will help keep you warm throughout the night. So these are some things that you can do to sort of get over the lack of fire. And I think it's really worth getting out there and challenging yourself to camp without a fire if you have that option. Like we always say, get out there, enjoy the outdoors, and be safe. The big thing is really try and follow the rules right now. It's not worth getting $1,000 fine for breaking them. And hopefully the sooner that we all follow the rules, the sooner that we can all get back out there and enjoy the things the way we really like to. I personally am starting to look at rivers and thinking of doing like a little river run. I got my kayak here at the house, and I've been looking at the Shuby River thinking, maybe I can do a day spin where I just throw in an infield and come back out here near my place in Milford, so I'm not far off the river anyways. I don't know, is that other people thought of similar things? Like, how do you guys want to get out and still try to enjoy the outdoors? I know they say if you have to drive to where you want to walk, you've gone too far. Is that inappropriate to drive down to infield and toss in? See, it's even in BC, they extended fire bans till June. Oh my. Yeah, so that's harsh. That is harsh. It really cuts into the enjoyment. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. And not an overly long one. I know I missed having Robert here to chat with. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Maybe we can all wish him well and he'll get better sooner. Let's see. But Yeah, share your thoughts with us. I think I covered this topic decently well, at least with some ideas and things for you guys to think about. Figure out what works for you, what you enjoy, and like I said, let's get out there, let's enjoy it to the best of our ability, and figure out what we can do to follow the rules and still, live a little, because nobody wants to be trapped inside all the time. And these are the things that I think most of us are fairly passionate about. So, yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening. Look forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully, it'll be a full cast as per normal. And we'll have something fun to talk about soon, I hope. But like I said, my big trip is canceled, so I'm going to be looking for other options. My logo, man. Okay. You guys stay out of trouble. Thanks a lot, guys.